What's going on, pond people? It's Brad with Pondscapes of Charlotte, and on today's video we're going to be talking about how to take care of your pond with a little sponge. So over the years we've gotten a lot of questions about how to take care of your water feature, whether we built it or another contractor built it. It's a lot of information, so we thought we'd make a video to better help you guys take care of your water feature. So let's begin. On a basic pond water feature, normally there's two filters that you really have to pay attention to. One is like the skimmer, which is normally on the side of the pond, and it houses the pump. And what happens is the pump draws in water to the skimmer, and stuff that falls on the surface of the water gets drawn into a basket. Once that basket fills up, you can remove the basket and empty out the leaves. If it has some algae and some muck on it, it might be a good idea to spray it off with a hose to get that thing looking clean. After you take out the basket, underneath that is a filter mat. I take out that filter mat maybe every other time you're cleaning out the basket. You bring it over to a hose and you spray out that filter pad. You bang it on either a side of a wall or a side of a tree, and you keep spraying it until all the water that's coming out of the filter pad is no longer dirty and mucky, but it's clean. Once you get that all clean, below that is your pump. So if you're noticing that you're having less water flow coming out of your waterfalls, there's a good chance that your pump is getting clogged and there's stuff on the faceplate of the pump. So when you're going to clean out your pump in the skimmer, there's two main types of pumps. There's solid handling pumps and non-solid handling pumps. And basically what that means is, can it suck up a tiny debris like a leaf? The solid handling pump will suck up this leaf and send it right on its way to the top of your water feature. A non-solid handling pump has a cage on the front of it. The leaf or the debris will get sucked to the cage and it'll get stuck there. And over time, there's more and more debris gets stuck on the face of the pump. The pump can't pump as much water because the debris is like causing it to clog. So you want to take your hand and take off the debris off of the cage. In order of most frequency, you want to clean your basket the most, your filter pad the second most, and the faceplate of your pump the third most.
What's up guys, Evan here to give you a couple more tips on your skimmer. So this white bobber bit here is part of your autofill line. When your water level's high enough, it should float up and water should not be coming out. And when your water's too low, it'll move down and will allow water to fill up your pond. This gray piece is a check valve and you can unscrew it to remove your pump if you ever need to do that. Next you can see that we have an overflow piece installed in the skimmer, so when the water level gets too high, instead of overflowing your pond, it'll just run out this little side area here. And lastly, Brad's going to demonstrate for you, if you have an adjustable skimmer faceplate, you should not have the top of the skimmer faceplate below water level. You want to adjust it so that the top of the skimmer faceplate is about 2 inches above water level.
And keep in mind, some people don't have a skimmer, they just have their pump in the bottom of the pond. And we do not recommend that, because every time you have to clean it, you have to actually get in the pond and get wet and take off the leaves from the faceplate of the pump, which is a pain. So guys, if we did not install a skimmer on your water feature and you either have an intake bay or an infinity edge going into a basin, if you have an intake bay, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to use a net, and the leaves are going to swirl around in the intake bay, and you're just going to net out the leaves every once in a while as they come in. And if you want some more information on how the intake bay works, make sure to check out this video if you want more of an in-depth explanation of how that works. With the infinity edge going into the basin, what you want to do is make sure that the leaves that are going over the infinity edge and landing on the basin, you want to make sure that you're manually removing those leaves every once in a while so that the water can freely flow down through the gravel into the basin. So the other main form of filtration that we have on our ponds is something called biofalls. It's a biological filter, and unlike the skimmer, you clean this filter a lot less. It normally has 2 filter pads in it and some bags full of biomedium. We call it bio balls. And essentially what that is just surface area for beneficial bacteria to grow on. This kind of works as a filter naturally, and the less cleaning, the less maintenance you do on it, the better. We recommend cleaning it out once a year. If you clean it out more than once a year, what you're doing is you're stripping all the biomedium of the bacteria that's growing on it. So the filter mats in the biofalls is the same as the skimmer, except you're only cleaning that out once a year. We normally recommend to clean it out in the springtime when we do an entire clean out on the water feature. And just a reminder, you can find your biofalls at the top of your waterfall. Normally it gets pumped from the skimmer all the way to the top of the water feature, goes into the bottom of the biofalls and out the top. So if you're looking for it, that's the place to find it. And if you guys don't have a biofalls on your water feature, you could just have a wetland filter, which is essentially the same thing on a larger scale. The way you clean that out is there's a volt that is hidden. You take off the volt and you drop down a clean out pump and you rinse the whole wetlands, preferably with pond water or well water, non-chlorinated, because you don't want to kill all the bacteria that's growing on the rocks. You rinse it down and you pump it out from the bottom. You're gonna need a pump for that, and not everybody has a pump, so it might be a good idea to call a professional on that to get it cleaned once a year. So say your pond wasn't built by Pondscapes of Charlotte, you might just have a pipe where the waterfall starts instead of the biofalls. And if that's the case, you'll have to take a look at your water feature to see how it's doing. If the water quality is not great, you could be missing out on key filtration. So what I got here is beneficial bacteria, and this is, you know, one of the most important things that you can add to your water feature. This is the food for the biofalls filter. You want to take a scoop of this and put it in somewhere close to the skimmer so it gets sucked up and it works its way through the biofalls filter. And basically what this does is it's different strands of bacteria that's going to help keep your water feature clean. So in the fall time, you want to make sure that you're either net your water feature, you purchase a pond net, or you get a professional to come out and install a net, and that'll keep all the leaves out of your water feature. If you notice in this water feature, it doesn't have a net, and there's a lot of leaves that have been falling in, and the water has kind of turned into like a darkish tint. And that'll happen if you have a lot of leaves falling in. But there's two ways. You can either put the net over before the fall time. You just have to make sure that you occasionally you blow off the leaves, or when those leaves get wet and there's a lot of them, it'll start to sag the net. The other way is you just pick them out manually. You let the leaves fall. You either use a pool net, which you can purchase from Lowe's to get some of the leaves out of the pond. The stream, you can take them out with your hands. And normally, if you don't get a net, we would recommend that you would probably get a clean out in the springtime just to get all the decaying stuff out of there before it decays too much and messes up your water quality. So if you have water lilies and aquatic plant, you want to make sure that you deadhead the water lilies. They'll bloom for a couple of days, and then after they bloom, they'll kind of like twirl up and they'll start falling down. You just want to take it with your hand and pull them out. That way they're not decaying in your pond. And it'll also promote more bloom. And you can also see the lily pads, they last about 2 weeks. They'll be green, but then they'll start to turn yellow and even black, and you want to take those out. We also have like a lily cutter that we use. We'll leave a link in the description. Sometimes the lilies are hard to get. So we have the lily pole cutter that we can use. But you don't need it. You can use your hands or you can get in your water feature. The grasses and the other aquatic plants are going in the stream and around the pond. The two big things you want to look out for is they grow just like any other plant would grow. And after you've had it for a couple seasons, it might get too big where it starts to block the view of a certain waterfall, or it might start to clog up the stream and dam up the stream, which can make the water level rise behind it and could cause leaking issues. So what you want to do is you want to physically pull out that plant, divide it, and then put in maybe half of the plant or a quarter of the plant, depending on how big it is, and basically start the process over. You can use the other half in a different part of the pond if you want to, or you can get rid of it. But you just want to make sure that these plants aren't growing out of control. Another thing that you guys could possibly see forming in your water feature is algae. And I want to be very clear, algae does not harm your ponds, it does not harm your fish, it is actually healthy for the ecosystem. The only thing wrong with it is it's not aesthetically pleasing. So every pond is going to have some algae. What you don't want is too much algae where there's strings of algae going down your stream, going over the rocks. And when you grab it and you pull it out, it comes out like hair. So if you have too much of it, there's certain ways you can combat it. You can use an algicide, which you can purchase online or at Lowe's. You just have to dose it correctly with the amount that gallons of water you have. The other thing you could purchase is something we call an ion gen, and that is a copper probe that releases little copper ions into the water, and it makes it so algae cannot grow. What you want to also keep in mind, if you have a new pond, it might take a full year for it to set up and establish its ecosystem. This doesn't happen overnight. This happens, you know, with constant beneficial bacteria being added and basically like a full season. So you might have an algae outbreak early on, and that's okay. Sometimes it's best just to let it ride out. Eventually everything will equalize with the ecosystem as long as you're adding in the beneficial bacteria, and it'll straighten itself out. If you have underwater LED lights, what you want to make sure to do occasionally is scrub off the lenses, because you'll get an algae coat on it and it'll make the light not as bright. So you want to go over to your transformer, turn it on, and check out where the lights are in the feature, and then scrub off the faceplate of the light with a little sponge or a steel wool thing. You can scrub off the lights, or a broom. A lot of the times what we do to touch up a water feature if it does have some algae is we'll take a broom and we'll just kind of scruff up the rocks, and it'll kind of take off some of the algae and it's work its way through the filter system as we do it. So all you need is a basic broom from Lowe's to do that. In this video we're just showing you the basic stuff, and if you want to dive deeper into maybe why algae is growing or why you need to add beneficial bacteria, check out the video we have on the nitrogen cycle. It's going to give you more of an in-depth look into why stuff happens in your water feature. All right, one of the biggest questions we have is, do I need to feed my fish, and how many fish should I have? Do you need to feed your fish? The answer is no. This is a fully functioning ecosystem, and they can survive off of the plants and the algae that's growing on the rocks. It's fun to feed your fish, and that's why a lot of people do it. So the most important thing to remember when you're feeding your fish is you don't want to throw too much food in. When you're throwing the food in, it's like throwing in excess nitrogen. So you want the fish to eat all the food that you've thrown in within about a minute or two. If you have any fish food that's worked its way into the skimmer, or that's just floating there and the fish aren't eating it anymore because they're full, that means you threw too much in. So keep an eye on that, and make sure you're, at tops, you're only feeding them like once or twice a day. And just remember, even if they're swimming around asking for food, they can have plenty of food on the rocks and stuff. You don't need to feed them. So how many fish can you have in your pond? It depends on a lot of things, including what type of filters you have, how big your pond is. There's actually a formula that we go off of, and we'll put that down in the description. You're gonna need to know how many gallons of water is in your water feature. But keep in mind, if you have a giant wetland filter, or you have multiple biofalls filter, you're gonna be able to keep more fish than you would be if you only had one biofalls filter, or maybe no biofalls filter at all. Hey guys, so that was all the tips that we had for you to take care of your water feature. Our goal is to have you guys enjoy your water feature with the people that you love, and we don't want you to have to be taking care of it all the time if you don't enjoy that. So we're here for you if you need monthly or quarterly service, as well as a spring clean out where we drain the entire water feature, pressure wash the rocks, get everything looking nice and great for you, so you guys can spend more time enjoying your water feature and less time maintaining it. Just remember guys, every Friday at 4 p.m. we release a new YouTube video, so make sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell and notification item. Come back every Friday at 4 to check out our videos.